training, and capabilities that maintain and grow our edge over our adversaries. Today's discussion of fleet modernization, strategic deterrence, and emerging technologies will inform our work towards that goal as we head into the heart of this year's NDAA cycle. I also want to thank President Trump for this year's historic budget request, which will not only get our servicemen and women the tools they need to succeed, but also boost the ongoing revitalization of our defense industrial base. I want to focus today's hearing on the role of the bomber and mobility platforms that help us overcome the tyranny of distance and project American power across the furthest reaches of the globe. Our bomber fleet is the cornerstone of our strategic deterrent, and our mobility platforms are the backbone of our operational effectiveness, allowing us to move personnel, equipment, and supplies around the world with unmatched efficiency. In today's constantly evolving threat environment, our adversaries are investing heavily in advanced capabilities as they try to close in on our lead. It is critical that we ensure that never happens. I look forward to hearing from our distinguished witnesses as we work to find solutions to ensure that our Air Force remains the best in the world. Now I'd like to turn it over to my good friend, Ranking Member Joe Courtney, for any opening remarks that he may have. Thank you, and Mr. Courtney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you to the witnesses for being here today. Again, I have written remarks. I'm going to really summarize quick because I know we want to get into the testimony and questions. Sometimes people think that this subcommittee only does ships and things that float, and the fact is a big part of our portfolio is the airlift work that we're going to be discussing here today. And again, there's just so many critical platforms, many of which are starting to get a little long in the tooth, that I think is really requires our urgent attention. Whether again, it's I think the average age of the fleet is about 64 years in terms of the some of the tanker fleet that's out there right now, and B-52s. We've got obviously a B-21 program that's now going to be recapitalizing the bombers, which Trent mentioned, and so that's obviously again one of these programs that we have to just go bigger, faster, and make sure that we hit the requirements that are out there. I also want to talk about the ask some questions about the VC-25B program, which there is high public interest. And this has been an ongoing topic in this subcommittee, not just over the last 2 years, but frankly, going back to 2017. Again, really appreciate the professional witnesses that we have here today. As I said, I'll ask my written remarks be entered for the record and yield back.
Without objection. And Mr. Courtney, I think I got some things out of order. The subcommittee will now come to order. I ask unanimous consent that the chair be authorized to declare a recess at any time. Without objection, so ordered. With us today, we have Mr. William Bailey, the Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Acquisition, Technology, and Logistics, and Lieutenant General Dave Tabor, the Deputy Chief of Staff for Plans and Programs. Mr. Bailey, since this is your first time in front of this committee, welcome. General Tabor, you are a frequent visitor, so welcome back. I believe the witnesses have a joint statement prepared for us today, so you are recognized for 5 minutes for any opening remarks that you'd like to make.
Chairman Kelly, Ranking Member Courtney, and the distinguished members of the subcommittee. Thank you for having us here today to provide testimony on the Department of the Air Force's projection forces, aviation programs, and capabilities. The FY27 budget bolsters critical modernization efforts, such as the development of the future bomber fleet in the B-21, continuation of uninterrupted tanker recapitalization with the KC-46 program extension, and recapitalization of our strategic airlift capabilities through the Next Gen Airlift program. I want to highlight on the KC-46 program for the moment. From Operation Absolute Resolve to Operation Epic Fury, the KC-46 has been in the fight for over the last several months and has proven to be a critical enabler to the joint operations therein. Though it is performing admirably, the fleet still faces readiness challenges requiring daily heroics from the crews on the ground. To address those challenges, the Department of War and the Air Force have deliberately prioritized readiness initiatives within the FY27 President's budget. Those efforts initiate reliability improvements, additional sparing, and other supportability projects. In parallel, the Air Force and Boeing have embarked on a KC-46 readiness improvement initiative which repurposes 5 early build aircraft for near-term readiness improvements. It streamlines and accelerates retrofits for 2 of the remaining Cat 1 deficiencies and puts focused effort into the fleet's primary readiness detractors. The combination of these 2 initiatives is expected to provide a near-term availability boost of approximately 6% and provide a long-term aircraft availability increase of over 20% by 2030. The Air Force is moving rapidly to implement the Secretary of War's acquisition transformation imperatives. We appreciate the authorities provided by Congress in the FY26 NDAA and continued partnership as we work to transform acquisition into a true warfighting function. Our focus is on mission outcomes, with the guiding principle of ensuring every portfolio acquisition executive, or PAE, has the 3 things they need to succeed: the authority, the talent, and the resources. The Air Force is taking a phased approach on PAEs with the initial rollout of 5 portfolios that represent a cross-section of our most critical mission areas to pioneer and mature this new framework, and we're already seeing successes. We examined over 200 contracting authorities to identify areas for delegation. As a result, 85% of unrestricted contracting authorities have been delegated to the PAE level, and 100% of the business and contract clearance authority now sit with the PAE. Translating to real-world impacts, the PAE for propulsion is currently developing a $16 billion multiple award IDIQ contract that engages over 50 companies across the industrial base to rapidly solve operational and technological challenges. Because of that increased delegated authority, empowering the PAE to execute a contract ceiling that far exceeds historical thresholds, the team has already reduced the time required to compete and award the contract by 40%. Now more than ever, the acquisition enterprise requires a highly specialized and agile workforce. We're working to ensure PAEs have the workforce they need to translate significant budget investments into capabilities. Due to recent DoW policy changes on manpower and the use of hiring authorities, PAE Weapons was able to bypass traditional and protracted hiring constraints to successfully onboard 69 critical acquisition professionals just in the last month. Furthermore, these authorities have enabled our team to maintain a robust and agile talent pipeline. We are currently processing active personnel actions. We're executing rapid manpower realignments and utilizing targeted incentive packages at a speed not seen before. We are examining ways to empower PAEs with the ability to make active trade-offs between acquisition risk and operational risk. Reforms to the resourcing process include a realignment of and reduction in budget line items are critical to enable those trade-offs. We will continue to work with Congress to ensure resourcing flexibilities are aligned with the appropriate transparency and oversight. Thank you again for the opportunity to testify. We look forward to working with the Congress, industry, and the communities that support us to ensure we maintain the necessary military advantage to secure our vital national interests and to support our allies and partners. Thank you for your steadfast support and partnership as we deliver needed capabilities for the Air Force. Thank you.
I now recognize myself 5 minutes for questions. Mr. Bailey, I think your call sign is Elvis. So the first question is, do you know whose district Elvis was born in and what town?
I'd like to take that one for the records.
Well, I'll give you the answer. It's my district, and it's Tupelo, Mississippi. So thank you. Mr. Bailey, the fiscal year 27 budget requests money for an advanced tanker systems program building on the work of the next generation air refueling system. Can you explain the differences between these 2 programs?
Yes, sir. As we were looking at the work done in studying on that next generation of advanced systems, we did come to the conclusion that there is a greater need for us to take a look at what are those no-regret bets to place on aircraft survivability when it comes to large aircraft and large aircraft protection, because we will have tankers going forward, but we currently have hundreds of tankers. We have hundreds and hundreds of airlifters that also face those same style of threats. So what you're seeing in that ATS program is a aircraft agnostic approach to survivability. And as we take a look at what we're doing with the tanker fleet going forward, we didn't want to stop that work, and you'll see us continue again in that platform agnostic way, in ways that we find things that we can extend to C-17s and 135s, as well as what we do with tankers.
And General Tabor, the recent KC-135 crash is a stark reminder of the risk our airmen face daily. Could you please detail for us the current state of connectivity and situational awareness capabilities of the KC-135 fleet?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Kind of dovetailing on what Mr. Bailey talked about, I mean, the ATS, we really are focused on connectivity across our entire fleet. Right now, we have about $105 million programmed in 27, about $1.1 billion across the FIDA to field about 315 hybrid SATCOM terminals, and an additional 240 or so KU radar or KU array kits for the KC-135 fleet. There's also being similar capabilities being installed on the KC-46s. Specific to KC-135, we have a vast majority of those connected now with Link 16, as well as the tactical data relays through the Arctic program. We also have funding for Star Shield and Adams. It's an airlift tanker open mission system that will be added on here, or is in the process of being added on to the KC-135 fleet, to be complete over the course of the next about 4 years. And then that the hybrid SATCOM will kind of lay in on top of that. So really over the course of about the next 6 years, you'll see the full fleet of KC-135s fully connected.
I thank you, and I now yield the balance of my time, and I recognize Mr. Courtney.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Bailey, as I indicated, the Air Force One program is definitely, as I said, something that this subcommittee has been tracking and overseeing for a number of years. So a year ago, Darlene Costello, your predecessor, testified before committee and kind of walked us through the delivery time for the new 2 Air Force One cohort that, again, was purchased from Boeing back in, I believe it was 2017, or maybe 2018. Again, her testimony was that 2028 was sort of the new kind of target for delivery of those. And then obviously the new plane that was purchased from Qatar was another topic that we discussed. So the press reports are that the Qatar plane, which was just purchased about a year ago, is going to be delivered sometime in July of 2026. Is that true? How much did that work, or how much did the retrofit of that plane cost? And where are we with the real fleet that we started that journey, as I said, almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, sir. Thank you for the question. When it comes to the bridge aircraft, our current expectation is that the aircraft modification will be less than $400 million. When we talk about the VC-25B and the schedule there, right now the program is making good progress. We've had a chance to go through and work closely with the stakeholders as well as Boeing itself to get through some key aspects of the design. We were able to close out a lot of those design questions in October of last year. Just a couple of months ago, we were able to settle the questions on airworthiness certification, and now we're in the process of generating those airworthiness certification articles. So we do believe at that point we are still on track with the previous schedule in terms of having it ready in 2028.
Thank you. Again, it's still kind of, I guess the question is, if a plane that was purchased about a year ago was retrofit and is being delivered in 2026 for the President of the United States to fly in, and we're still waiting for the 2 other planes which have been going through extensive retrofit as well. What's the difference here? Why was one so much faster and cheaper? Is it not going to be really the same capability? Is that why it's a different production schedule? Again, as I said, we've been working on this for a long time, and something seems a little out of sync.
Yes, sir. It's difficult to get into the specifics on the requirements in this kind of forum. I do think as we look at this, and you'll hear it in many different areas too, where we spend a lot of time getting very focused in on the user and the requirements and what the opportunity is. We look at opportunities where you'd say, hey, if we take a look at a schedule, does the schedule actually benefit you? Will you be willing to make trades on minor requirements? Certainly not making trades on major requirements. And you're seeing the byproduct of a lot of that work, a lot of very focused work on what's the operational need. But again, we can come back to you and talk to you in more detail in a classified forum.
I think we deserve that, honestly, because just the disparity in terms of the costs and the disparity in terms of schedule kind of screams out for some answers in terms of just trying to make sure that the aircraft is going to be capable of doing what it's supposed to do. And again, just from a sort of intuitive standpoint, it just seems like something is different between these in this program that we really need to understand better, what that difference is. With the rest of my time, I just want to turn to General Tabor for a second to talk about the next generation airlift. The C-130s, 17s, and 5s fly approximately 800 to 900 mobility sorties a day, and it's getting old. Can you talk again about what the Air Force next generation airlift efforts to keep that capability functioning?
Yes, sir. This is highly important to us. I tell you right up front, the good news is that we don't have any immediate concerns about the viability of any of our airlift fleet. However, acknowledging that the C-17s and C-5s particularly continue to get older, we know that they will need to be recapitalized here sooner than later. So in the 27 budget, we have earmarked, actually pulled forward funding for an analysis of alternatives to kind of look at what the characteristics of a future airlift platform might be. So we think we're getting ahead of it. It's not something that we need to act on immediately, but we certainly need to be thinking about it so we can act on it before it becomes an emergency.
I'll let you use some of my time so your time didn't expire. I now recognize Dr. Desjardins.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank to our witnesses. And channeling my inner Joe Wilson, I'm going to say that my son Ryan just got certified on the C-130, so I'll pass along that to him. But he was Naval Academy, went through TBS, so he flies for the Marines. But anyway, that'll be good news that better equipment's coming his way. Mr. Bailey, I noticed that you spent some time at Arnold Air Force Base in my district, and I know you understand how important our RDT&E funding is to ensure we stay ahead of our adversaries. I'd like to take this opportunity to encourage the continued and increased investment in our test infrastructure and the amazing work that comes out of the Air Force test community in Arnold Air Force Base. So how can Congress and the Department continue to work together to increase the flexibility for construction, development, and acquisition within our test infrastructure?
Yeah, thank you, sir. And that was a special time. That is a pretty amazing base with a great mission. When I think about those style of challenges, Congress has supported additional flexibility on a lot of the construction activity, which I think has been put to good use. When I think more towards the future, it is probably in areas where we see limitations on our ability to test weapon systems that are now consuming larger ranges, greater pieces out of the electromagnetic spectrum. So if we could work together on issues like NEPA or even areas like spectrum access, even if it is to give us opportunities to assert some priority while we're doing critical testing, I think that'll be helpful to us.
Okay. Moving on to drones, they've proven difficult to defeat despite costing a fraction of the interceptors that are required to stop them. Fixed ground radar cannot reliably detect persistent low altitude Shahed drones. What is the department doing in FY27 request to prioritize counter-drone defense, including airborne early warning platforms and legacy close-in weapon systems that can address drone threats without consuming high-end interceptors needed for ballistic missile defense?
Yes, sir. We are working, the Air Force is working closely with the Joint Task Force 401 in their mission, counter-drone mission, as well as supporting the work being done as part of Golden Dome for some of those more advanced threats. I can tell you from working closely with that team, the Air Force's view has always been around the need to focus in on command and control, and very specifically open architectures inside that command and control. We will see, as you noted, the threat will pivot, and it'll pivot quick.